So today I prepared a little presentation about determination, an important quality to have, and I had some nice visuals to go along with it, to kind of make a whole comprehensive thing, which if the internet ever kicks in nicely, I could potentially show it. Alas, it is what it is. So, we're all gathered here. Some of you, maybe it's your first time. Some maybe have been coming for years. Or maybe Anthony's coming for 1 year. Something like that, right? Almost. And we come to the temple to practice Krishna consciousness. And so, let's hear what Krishna had to say to Arjuna about Krishna consciousness, right? That would be useful. In chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, that whole chapter is about practicing yoga, or specifically meditation, which is very important. But specifically, the verse I wanted to spread was verse 24. And this is right after Krishna describes to Arjuna the symptoms of someone who's perfect at meditating, who can completely focus their mind on one thing. Actually, according to the Yoga Sutras, it's not even for that long a time, but it's perfect focus. It's called samadhi, and it brings really wonderful results. And so then after describing that, then, kind of after realizing the goal, or understanding what the goal is, then you need some motivation in understanding how to get to that. So, like if you want to try to learn an instrument, and you see someone like Maestro play it, and it's like so amazing. So that's the goal. But then now you realize, okay, I just need to get some teacher, I need to learn the basics, I need to start practicing, and so on and so forth. And so you do it. So then the next thing Krishna explains, this is what Krishna says to Arjuna. One should engage in oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So, Krishna is saying we should engage in the practice of yoga. So now, I forgot what yoga is, so here's a question for all you. Hands raised. Does anyone know what yoga is for $500? Anyone?
Link with God.
What's yoga?
Linking with God, but
Okay, someone else. Don't cheat.
connecting.
Connecting. That doesn't mean stretching. Yoga means many things, but ultimately it comes from the verb yukta, or connection, and connecting with God. So technically all kinds of religions in their own way are kind of yoga, at least when they're practiced properly. And it means union with God, and not, becoming in union with God doesn't mean merging with God or becoming one with God. It means becoming one desire with God. Like, sometimes they say, God is the ultimate consciousness, and we are also consciousness, and God is like the ocean, and we're like a drop, and when the drop merges with the ocean, it can experience itself as the ocean. Well, it's not exactly like that. It's more like God is, we're a green parrot, and we're flying into a green tree, where the parrot merges with the green tree. You can't see necessarily the parrot and the green tree and merge together, but they still remain a unique identity. Or if you take the example of the ocean, the fish swimming in the ocean are part of it, but they're also, the fish isn't the ocean, and the ocean isn't necessarily the fish. So, those Mahatmas, or great souls, are one in the desire of God, if you find someone that's like that, they're very wonderful people to be around. It doesn't matter whatever religion they are, or even if they're not religious, if they're actually one with what God desires, they become very wonderful people. And of course, our perennial perfect example, Srila Prabhupada, he was like that. So many people, 20, 30, 40 years later, they record memories of their time spent with him. It's like they were there yesterday, and they completely relish it. It's like these life-changing moments, realizing how special a person like that is. So, this is the yoga that we're trying to achieve, and Krishna is mentioning that we should try to control our mind. Let's see, I have some nice pictures. No, still not working. So, we have to control all the senses by the mind. This is, evident, anytime we are just walking down the streets of New York, and you go by one of the food trucks, either you control your senses and you don't eat it, or your senses, say, okay, I'm hungry, I have to go get some food from there, and you buy it. The senses are always pulling us in so many directions, and if our mind is focused, like, say you're maybe training to become some sort of athlete, and you're passing by all these fast food, junk food trucks, well, you're going to give it up, and because you're determined, your mind's saying, no, I have this higher goal. So similarly, in our Christian consciousness, the more determination we can have on focus on these higher consciousness topics, these higher things, the more we can actually control our senses. It's like two different kinds of freedoms. If we control our senses, we may think, oh, this is like no good. I don't want to control my senses. That's just like you're handling my life. I don't want to put a cage on my life. I don't want to stop enjoying my senses. What the heck is that? But I say that's actual freedom. Like there's two kinds of freedoms. The freedom of the dog on the street. He's completely free to do what he wants. He's free to. Is it raining outside? You guys think? So the dog. Here we don't really get it so much. I hear like in old musicals and things. There was like dog catchers that would take the dogs to the dog pound because there's so many wild dogs like running through the city or running through the country. In America now you don't get that, but in India there's so many wild dogs just everywhere. Just lying in the highway, lying in the sewer, lying in the street, and anyway, so it's a lot. To have the freedom of like one of those wild dogs, they're actually all emaciated and miserable and just like have all these like oozing sores, and they're always getting into fights, and they can barely get any sleep. When one's trying to sleep, another one gets on his territory, he has to wake up in the park and get it off. And so that's one kind of freedom. Or you can have the freedom of the dog with the proper master. So this is actual freedom. The dog may be, he may be with the master, but guess what? He's staying in a nice home. He doesn't worry about what he has to eat, and he's perfectly well taken care of. When he gets sick, they take him to the vet. But this week over here in New York, they live in like a penthouse apartment, and when they have to go to the bathroom, their owner picks it up. Very nice life for a dog. So that's real freedom. So similarly, if we're actually controlling our senses with our mind, that leads us into a space of real freedom. And anyone who has the strength to be able to control their senses is going to be able to succeed in whatever they're doing, in any practice. So this simple practice of controlling the senses can lead to success in all areas of life. If there's some deadline for work or some hard thing needs to get done, we're already used to controlling our senses. It's very easy to do it. We may be able to succeed over other co-workers, impress the boss more. We can become the boss. We can work harder than the boss, so we can control our senses. So this mind of ours it's like to control it is very difficult, but it is possible by the right practice, by the right kind of detachment. Like the mind it's difficult to control. Like if everyone closes their eyes and you just, okay, everyone just don't think of anything, think of nothing right now, nothing. Like how many people can think of nothing? How long can you think of nothing for? If you have perfect control of your mind, you can just make it blank and make it nothing. That's like the perfection of mind control that Krishna explains in this chapter. You completely shut down the mind, but that's practically impossible. But he says it is possible. And so for our process of being able to control the mind, it's like lifting weights. So how do you go to the gym, you lift weights, you might go in the pool and swim, you work on your cardio, you might eat a good diet to help your body. So what's a good diet? What's the proper exercise for the mind? Prabhupada is explaining that actually you hear the right topics from the right source. So if we hear about Krishna or we hear from Krishna, which is as simple as going to YouTube and finding some lecture by a devotee or opening up one of the books, you just hear from it for a little bit. When you have a devotee friends, give them a call and start talking about Krishna. So the more that one becomes enlightened and detached from everything and gets away from things that are drawing their mind away from Krishna, then it becomes very easy to put the mind with Krishna. The more that you eat, when you're hungry, the more that you feel satisfaction. When you're really hungry and you start to eat a big feast, you feel completely satisfied. Like maybe someone, I don't know, people get hungry, they're ready to eat a feast. Yeah, I hope so. They say hunger is the best spice. So similarly, by performing devotional service, which begins with hearing, you become extremely satisfied. The mind going from here to there to all these different kinds of materialistic, external sense gratification, it becomes very hungry for something real. So if we just show a little patience, then we can actually experience that real thing. Prabhupada explains it's like the expert, the right diet given by the expert doctor and the right medicine. Hearing about Krishna is the right medicine, and the right diet is Krishna Prasad. Of course, hopefully we'll all get a nice taste of downstairs that Chaitanya Prabhu is lovingly cooking as we speak. So being detached from all these external things is the proper determination. But this is like it's no cheap feat. It's explained that getting to the stage of actually being able to have full control of the mind, it takes a lot of work. It's like if you start to drain the ocean with like just give a stick, you can like pull a drop of water out with a stick, and pull a drop of water out with your fingers. So like I don't know. Sometimes we eat with our hands, right? And sometimes we eat soup. Or at least I eat soup with my hands, and like it's hard to. You have like a piece of bread or something, it's easy to eat it, or you have a spoon, it's easy to like kind of do it fast. But if you don't have any more bread left or any rice or any spoon, and you just have to slowly, like drop by drop, finish the soup. And it's like laborious and it takes a long time. So similarly, that's like controlling the mind, like an ocean of soup. You have to keep the soup just with your hands. It's going to take so long. So it's perfection in yoga, perfection in meditation, perfection in mind control, in bhakti. It's not an easy overnight, like quick fix thing. I mean, there are some instant benefits to chanting, and of course everyone can experience the happiness of having some prasada. But ultimately, perfection, it comes after a lot of work, which requires determination. But we should be prepared. And there's a few stories that come to mind. One was a story that I saw a long time ago. I used to like sci-fi things, and this was like a short sci-fi movie about time travel. And the whole plot of it was that in some hundreds of years in the future, scientists had discovered how to travel through time, and on every spaceship they put a 3-minute emergency time travel button. In case there was ever a problem, they could just push the button and go back 3 minutes and fix whatever the problem was. And so that's like the basis of the movie. And so then you enter into the spaceship, and there's some, two of the astronauts are playing cards, and the one never likes to take the risk. So then they end up always losing, and then some disaster happens, and the spaceship is going out of control. So they have an option. Do they want to go back in time, or do they want to go try to fix the problem? And the one who knows how to actually take the risk, she's saying, "Oh, okay, let's just go. Let's get on the escape pod and get out of here." And the other one says, "No, I want to do this time warp." And so they keep doing it, and then you realize at the end of the film that they've been doing it hundreds and thousands and millions of times. They've been stuck in this 3-minute loop, doing the same thing over and over again, and just being satisfied with it. And so that's like, if we actually look at the reality of which Krishna reveals to us in the Gita and these sacred teachings, that we're a spirit soul that's meant to be experiencing something much, much higher, but we're stuck in this, so to speak, time loop of we're continuously being reincarnated and recycled and over again, doing the same thing over and over again. But Albert Einstein said doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So we're just doing this, and it's going on. Like, we should actually realize that it's just like a story. It's no good. So we have to develop the enthusiasm. We can't be scared of trying something new. And when we try it and we realize it's working, we should then be determined and keep going more. And there's another story in this regard it's a very famous story about the sparrow, where there's a sparrow living by the sea, and somehow or other the sea on the beach had captured and swallowed the eggs of the sparrow. And so, being very distressed, like any good mother, she started to freak out that the egg was taken by the ocean, and then resolved, was trying to reply to the request of the ocean, please give me back the eggs so that my children, please give them back. And the ocean didn't say anything, so it just started, okay, then I'll empty you drop by drop. And the birds started eating every drop of the ocean and bringing it away, and slowly. But even after a whole day of bringing water, the ocean was unaffected. But something special did happen. Narada Muni came onto the scene, and Narada Muni is a guru. He's a representative of Krishna, because Krishna is in everyone's heart. Krishna was in the heart of this bird, and saw the bird struggle and knew that the bird was doing something that it could never actually fully accomplish. But still, Krishna wanted to help the bird and knew that it was sincere in its desire. So it sent Narada Muni on the scene. And so Narada Muni could fulfill the desire of Krishna. First he kind of tested the bird. Similar stories also there in Bhagavatam with a devotee called Dhruva. So Narada Muni is asking the bird, it's useless to try to fly out the ocean. At this rate, it's going to take, longer than your whole lifespan to accomplish this task. And the bird is promising to Narada Muni, in this life or the next, I'm going to dry out this ocean. I will. And so Narada Muni was impressed, and being an agent of the Lord, he made some moves. And so when he was going and he saw Garuda, he mentioned, and he said, hey Garuda, guess where I was? I was at the beach. And guess what the ocean was doing? It was disrespecting you. things to progress the desire of the Lord. And we see this over and over again in all these different Vedic pastimes. And so, Guru comes to the ocean and sees his relative, the sparrow, and the ocean knows that there's one flap or a few flaps of the Guru's wings to dry up the ocean or do something bad to the ocean, because Guru is he's a Parishad, or eternal associate of the Lord. He has power that's unpowerful, because he's empowered by the Lord. And so the ocean personified comes out and gives the eggs back to the bird. In the beginning, you think, why is the bird like that? If you're on the beach and the wave comes in and sweeps something yours into there, you're like, oh dear, Atlantic Ocean, please let me give me back. Whatever. You would seem kind of crazy, but actually, if you're powerful enough, there is a personified ocean that you can communicate with. And Garuda was such an empowered personality that he could make such a communication. So the whole idea of all this, what we can learn is that if we actually have real determination, like the determination necessarily to make progress to the final goal in controlling the mind, in developing pure love, in these different processes, we need to have such determination that yes, even in the next life, I have to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it until I reach my goal. And this brings, the Lord hears the determination, and He'll send His help. He'll send Guru. And maybe many of you, if this happened in my life, maybe many of you are thinking, what do I need to do in life? How do I meet God? How do I understand myself? Maybe there's some of these more higher philosophical questions that we ask sometimes when we get a little more deep in life. And when we're really sincere about when we answer, really determined to really answer, the universe can conspire. It's like the ultimate conspiracy theory. It can conspire to help us reach the conclusion, reach the answer, reach what we need to actually do. So when we're determined like this bird, then Krishna can actually send Narada Muni, he can actually send Guru Tattva to come into our lives to help us start to understand these things and put the process together. Nothing worth doing can be done instantaneously. Like they say, they didn't build Rome in a day, and they didn't tear it down in a day either. So whether we want to build Rome or tear it down, we're going to have determination. So it's a simple process, like this devotional yoga, bhakti yoga, but it's very profound because it's difficult to follow a simple process if our minds aren't convinced. Like Krishna is saying in the verse that I wish I could show this. Sweet. No, because then I can't read my notes and I can say it in my brains. It's stupid. So Krishna is saying that we have to engage in this practice with determination. We shouldn't be deviated, and we should abandon all mental desires born of material speculation, and thus control our senses. So in other words, if our mind is attached to all these dissatisfying materialistic things, then it's going to be difficult for it to have the bandwidth and the potency to focus on these higher things. It has all these other speculations, and the necessary determination and strength to achieve this yoga will come about. So, but it is possible. We can live in New York City, in Brooklyn, or in Queens, or wherever. We can work towards this goal of perfect mind control, love of Godhead. It's possible, but we have to be willing to cut some time out of whatever other medicine we're taking, all these other magazines and endless YouTube videos, radio shows, and newspapers, and finds, and all of it. Because everyone's consuming so much media every day. We have to find some time in our consumption to focus on these transcendental topics. And we're also having to eat so much hear about the transcendental subject matters, because it's transcendental, it can actually purify us. And slowly we can make progress, but we have to build this determination. And if New York City becomes too much, then there's always, you can go to India where there's thousands of saintly people to meet with, and there's holy places where even if you just sleep there or just spend a day there, the atmosphere will recharge you subtly, and your mind will be able to focus on higher things more easily. Because living in an intense materialistic society can have a negative effect on these things, but it's not impossible. We can also take the time out and just chant some japa, and just do some mantra meditation. This is like the easiest practice actually in this age for controlling the mind, because you just have to speak something. Like before I said, just close your eyes and think about nothing. But that's very difficult. If someone didn't have a daily practice, they would probably get upset because there's so much disturbing things that come through the mind that we can't just stop all of a sudden. But it is possible if we're chanting a mantra, and if we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, that's called the Maha mantra, the best mantra. If we're chanting a mantra, we already have a sound going. So it doesn't matter if another sound comes in my head. I'm chanting Maha mantra and a pink elephant comes in my brain. It doesn't matter, it's just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I can just bring the mind back to the sound vibration. The sound vibration is already going, and it's not going in my head, it's coming out of my mouth. So it's going into my ear, and I can just focus on that. And it becomes this kind of self-orienting practice, which anyone can, it's very easy to practice, but it's very sublime, and it can bring us to all these higher, wonderful things. And so with that, it's about 7:20, so we'll leave time for a few questions or comments, if anyone liked anything that was said. We can open the floor with it. The wireless mic. So if anyone has any comments or reflections of something they liked, I would appreciate having an interaction with you all. Yes. The man in the pants.
Thank you for your class. I was wondering if you could get some examples, maybe some examples or literature or personal experience of people that show this kind of determination in their spirit practice and like what the result of that is.
Well, it's always, when we were wondering, about these attaining these higher goals in Christian consciousness, sometimes it can seem like, it's not really attainable. There's so many people practicing, but I don't see them getting the goal. But we can always look at Srila Prabhupada, as he's like a perennial perfect example. In any category, it can always come up, and we can actually see how it's manifesting. So, Prabhupada had the order of a spiritual master, and he was crying, how the heck can I do that? Go to preach to the West. And when he started to try to do it, it seemed like everything was going against him. Going on the boat, getting through heart attacks, coming and having no one to host him, and for a whole year just being stuck with Dr. Mishra and old ladies doing, trying to bend their legs like a pretzel, and really getting nowhere. It's like, for anyone else, maybe they wouldn't, but for someone that actually has the determination like that sparrow, the determination like Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada had that determination. So eventually, Krishna relented and fulfilled all his desires, because Prabhupada, his determination was just to fulfill the desires of his Guru. So he pushed through all the tests, and actually in our life, in bhakti, we'll always get, it's not easy, there's easy processes of worshiping demigods. You basically just do some process and you get some result. But in bhakti, it's more or less the And so we actually have that determination, and we can make it through these things. So we're qualified. You can see so many, you read the Lila Amrita, watch the movie, you can see so many different examples of how he actually showcased this. Hare Krishna. Anybody else got something to say?
Determination usually, we think of it as moving forward in the same direction in spite of either a low yield or a low response, and staying with it. But that can also characterize going down the wrong path of stubbornness. So how can we sometimes tell the difference between determination and just stubbornness, or recognizing that we're going down not a very fruitful path and we should change our overall strategy?
Yeah, this is definitely a good subtle distinction to be able to make. If we're a little too clouded by ignorance of what we're doing, then we can be stubbornly trotting down the wrong path. And performing devotional service, there's markers to kind of help us know that we're making progress on our goal. And so some of these markers are how much of the day am I spent absorbing positive things into my consciousness versus absorbing things that my senses are just yearning for. And this is you could do some statistics about it. If you can time yourself or really understand that you could have a rough percentage of what you're doing, but that just keeps going down, then what you're doing is probably not the right determination. And maybe you should try to rethink it. And another resource we always have, like Krishna's, he knows what's happening. We can always ask someone outside, Guru Tattva can, we can ask Guru, we can ask a senior devotee, we can ask a friend. It's always good to be able to have like a real friend. They'll be able to point out your faults and say, oh man, that's bogus what you're doing. And if we're just friends with someone because we want to make them feel good, that's not really friendship. So we hope we have some friend, some well-wisher, some guru, some elder, that if we feel like we may be stubbornly going through something and it's not like the actual kind of heroic determination, maybe we fancy it like that to puff ourselves up. But we can, hopefully we'll be checked on that. Hopefully Guru will call on, hopefully we'll have the humility to understand, okay, and then we can chalk up the right path and do it.
In our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, much stress, aim, and even focus is put on using determination to execute the order of the Supreme Lord as it comes down through one's superiors or previous spiritual teachers. So could you say something how that's important? And also that mission or order of the Lord, which comes down, is one based on helping all living entities, which is the most beautiful thing that one can do in this world.
Yeah, like the amazing thing that's revealed by some of the Vedic literature is the inner psychology of God. And the people who are in touch with that, they're in touch with the very subtle and otherwise completely bewildering plan of God. And if we put ourselves in connection with such exalted personalities, and 50 years, Prabhupada was thinking how he could possibly execute this. And then when he did, such unprecedented results came of it. I was just in the city of Vrindavan, and this is Prabhupada's home. And before he left, they had never, maybe a few random hippies coming there every year, but they never really seen Western people. But after Prabhupada went, it became full of Western people. Now I go there, and if you don't know Russian, then you can't really, you can't speak half the people. And, most of them, they have a thing in the market, a Western store, but then all the subtitles in Russian. Anyways, it's because so many outside people will actually learn about these more subtle things. Like in the West, we may hear Hinduism, things like this, but it's like when I was growing up, we had social studies class, and one of my classmates, she gave some presentation on what Hinduism was, but it's kind of like, it was just this more or less hodgepodge idea that is really superficial and shallow and accepted by people who don't really know what's going on. And people didn't really get these more deep ideas of what real secrets that the Vedic tradition has. And so the power of someone applying their determination to these secrets is extremely profound. And, at least when I came in contact with it, it was something that I felt I could apply my life to. Now I'm glad I had no practice since. Are there any last questions or comments? Can everyone say Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat, thanks a lot. The prasadams will be served in parking lot.